Syracuse and lacrosse. One of the Jim Brown biographies, and I forget the guy. I wish I could remember the guy. Mike Freeman, Jim Brown. His book on Jim Brown, which is excellent. He interviewed a lot of people, but his framework is useless, of course, because I don't expect him to have it. But he starts the first, if memory serves me correctly, there's a quote from someone who played lacrosse with Jim Brown. And the quote is like, Jim Brown was like a Greek god with dark skin. Now, I ain't mad at that guy. He's a white man. He thinks that's a compliment. He doesn't know. I doubt he took Greek at Syracuse or anywhere before or since. So he doesn't know that Ethiop, the root of the word Ethiopian, literally in Greek is their word, the phrase they call burnt face. So to call somebody a Greek god with dark skin, two things happen. Number two, you call him Ethiopian, which ain't an insult. And number one, when you go back and read the Iliad and the Odyssey, the collective poets who are labeled Homer, you understand that the Iliad begins with the Greek gods coming back from Ethiopia, where they've gone home to feast. So you really don't even know you're paying a compliment, but the compliment you think you're paying is actually not a compliment. The compliment you are paying is really so deep that makes you understand that Jim Brown is your grandfather while he out there with that Native American stick whipping your ass before he goes and plays football. But the obituaries are going to deal, the social structure obituaries are going to deal with him as an athlete. Then they're going to deal with him, bucking and going to the movies and being an activist. And then they'll trace him all the way through with some, stipulated moments. And then they'll bring up, the violence and bring up the controversy. And that'll be it. What we have to do, if we can manage it, is think about him. And I pull from the shelf one of our great elders, the great Mariba Kelsey, two of his books. Do you want liberation? So you want liberation. Understanding African-Centered Principles for Life, and his most recent book, Strengthening African-Centered Organizations, 11 Keys. There's Baba Kelsey, soon to celebrate this summer his 98th birthday. Shout out to his grandson, Hanif, who just graduated from high school. He's headed to Florida, agriculture and mechanical, in the fall. But Baba Mariba reminds us that there are stages of life. You got youth, then you got young adulthood and adulthood, and you got elderhood. When you reach a certain stage, at the end of young adulthood, you're in now your 30s and 40s, through your 50s, mid-50s. That's the stage that Dr. Kelsey will call the nation building stage. What we saw in the life of Jim Brown was an active nation building stage. As a person who is no longer a child, who is no longer a very young adult, who has reached this era where I've got a little money, I've got a little resources, I've got connections, I've got some visibility. What do I do with it? That's the nation building stage. So on office hours on Monday night, when the young sister said she's defending her dissertation on Tuesday and got that love, oh my God, that love was so powerful. Why? Because you're talking to people who have done it. And when you're talking to people who have done it, then you understand. And Dr. Austin, Tasha Austin, who's up